Do you want to know how to grow your farm operation? I don't know one person inside of this industry that does not want to grow the operation any further than where they currently have it. But the reality is most people, they don't know how to, and those that do try to do it, well, to be honest, they're doing it absolutely blind. Now, over the years, I've worked with hundreds of farmers across the country and ultimately have cracked the code on the simple things that you need to do in order to build and scale the operation that you've always wanted without having it blow up in your face. And the best part about all of this is it's actually not as hard as you might think. But that is only if you've got the guts and the discipline to do it right. So inside of today's video, we're gonna talk about 3 steps that you need to take in order to be able to build and scale the operation that you've always wanted. So let's get to it. Step number 1 is gonna be all about your foundation in your business. What do I mean when I'm talking about this? Getting your business structured and organized across every single side of it, from finances to operations to banking to tax planning to accounting to all these different areas inside of your business that have to work well in order for it to be profitable and to put you in a position where you can actually grow and scale the business that you want to. Now, when I'm talking about this, the reason that you need to have a structure and organization in place is because a lot of people, they make these growth decisions based on their emotions. Well, I don't care what you want to do with your operation. What I care about is actually what's financially viable to do with your operation. Ultimately, what I'm saying here is what you can actually pull off with the operation you currently have today. One thing that people always want to do to grow their operation, and honestly will justify their emotions because of it, is buy more ground. Now, I totally see where people are coming from when they're thinking about buying more ground, because for a lot of people in the industry, ground is the legacy that they can pass on to the next generation. But the reality is, I don't care if you want to buy more ground if that one decision there is going to be the thing that sinks your operation financially. You have got to have the structure and organization in place with your numbers so that you're not careless or shooting from the hip or guessing when it comes to making these massive decisions. And ultimately, again, justifying your emotions by saying, well, I'm growing the operation, Jace. This is just what I need to do. I'm sorry, but I've seen that type of game play out and it never ends well for the farmer. So at the end of the day, knowing your numbers, having the structure and organization in place literally is the bedrock of your operation. But a majority of people today, and I'm talking like higher than 95% of farmers or ranchers and ag business owners in this country, do not have any idea where they're at financially. And when you're in this place, you may grow the operation, but for a majority of them, they're going to crash very hard. And this can ultimately lead these operations to the one place they don't want to go, which is bankruptcy. So what you need to know is your numbers, and knowing your numbers, it's not an option, right? This isn't something you can just kind of do. It is literally the bedrock and foundation of your business. And the longer you avoid this truth, the more painful your future is going to be. So right now, I actually challenge you to look at the foundation inside of your business. Is it built off of sound, structured, and organized numbers, or your emotions and your gut feelings? Be honest here. All right, so now moving into the second step that you need to have in place in order to build and scale the operation that you want is you need to have your team in place. Now, here's a scary truth for you. A lot of farmers want to build and scale their operations, and when you combine that with having a yes banker, for example, that will loan them all the money to do this, these farmers will typically hire people in order to handle scaling the operation. But the reality is, though, is that if you skip steps inside this process, it's a guarantee that the operation will come crashing down. Because I'm going to say this, and some of you may not want to hear it, but not everybody is cut out to be a leader. When it comes to leading a team inside of the operation, you have to have all the foundational pieces put together inside of your team dynamic that make up the culture that you're trying to build inside of your operation. And ultimately, what I've seen time and time again is we have a lot of people that they want to pretend that they can go out and build this operation, they can hire these people, but they don't have the leadership skills in order to lead other people, get people bought into the culture of a company, establish core values, establish a core mission, and get people to follow them. Not everybody is cut out to be a leader, and we see this issue happening all of the time inside of this industry. Whether it's a new young farmer coming up and they're trying to grow and scale faster than what they actually should, or you have a second or third generation coming back to the operation and now they're CEO or they're put into the leadership position just because their last name is the same as the family's or whatever it may be there. And we're setting the operation up for failure at that point. And again, this may not be something that everybody wants to hear, but it's just the reality, because I've seen second, third, and fourth generation operations come crashing down because the parents put the wrong kid in control of the assets, of the decisions, and ultimately of leading the people. And they just didn't have the natural characteristics of what they needed from a leadership point of view there in order to do that job successfully. So when it comes to making this type of decision and growing your operation, it's a requirement and just a reality that you're going to have to hire people in order to do this. But this is also a question here. But then looking back at all the challenges that I just talked about there and not having the characteristics or those leadership capabilities there that are required in order to lead and be successful with this type of role in your operation, do you even really want to build a bigger operation? Because again, it's going to be a requirement if you're wanting to build and scale that you have to hire a team. And when it comes to this is going to open up a whole new world of problems and challenges inside of the business when you start getting more people involved. For example, all of the people that you're hiring have to be for a specific reason, which means you need to hire the right people in the right seats. But then they also have to do what we call inside a legacy farmer, they have to be able to GWC the seat. And what I mean by that is they have to get the seat and what the responsibilities are in the seat. They have to want the seat. And then the C is they have to have the capacity to handle the job responsibilities of that seat as well. And most people, when it comes to hiring people to join their farm operation, they're just kind of guessing, right? And they just think that everybody's a farmhand and you just do what I say. Guys, that is a surefire way to crash and burn inside of your operation. You have to have the structure and organization, not only from a number standpoint, like we talked about at the very first point in this video, but you also have to have the foundation in place when it comes to your team, your culture, your mission, and just how you're leading others inside of your operation. If you don't have these pieces put together, it's not a question of whether or not you will fail. It's a guarantee that you will fail long term. All right, now moving into the third and final step inside of today's video, we're going to talk about the financial side of your operation. Now, when it comes to this third step, you need to look at how you're funding your operation. Once your numbers are tight and your foundation for your business is rock solid, you need to ask yourself, do you actually need more cash to scale? And if you do, how are you going to get access to that cash and ultimately pry it out of your bank? Now, here's the kicker. If you nailed step one and you have the structure and organization with your finances that honestly 99% of farmers and ranchers don't have, then step three is going to be a breeze. When you've got this structure and organization, you're not some desperate farmer walking into any financial institution begging for a loan. You're a power player, and ultimately the bank is going to know this once you show them your structured and organized financials. Your value and the strength that the bank now sees in you as a business owner and leader inside of your operation skyrockets, and you will be put into a place and position where you have all of the leverage when it comes to getting whatever amount of cash or working capital that you need, but also negotiating all the terms and interest rates for that cash as well. And what I just said right there, you need to understand how rare that is inside of this industry. I have met with hundreds of family farm operations over the years, and I can count on one hand the number of operations that had the level of structure and organization that we demand of our customers inside a legacy farmer. And these people actually have experienced that power walking into any bank and knowing that they get to run the show and they get to set the terms, they get to set the interest rates, they get to control all the power and the leverage in that relationship. All right, guys, so if you're chomping at the bit to grow your operation, you're motivated, you want to build, you want to scale, all of these things here are kind of lining up and you want to build a great operation there, then step one is going to be absolutely key in order for that to happen for you. Getting your numbers locked down and knowing them at such a detailed level is just going to separate you from everybody else inside of the industry. Now, over the years at Legacy Farmer, we have built out this proven process working with hundreds of family farm operations, helping them go from a place of disorganization and chaos financially and just overall business-wide as well, and taking them to a place of financial confidence and clarity, having systems, having processes, having that structural organization inside of their business. So when it comes to making these should I scale decisions, there's no guessing for them. It is literally a numbers game and making sure that all the pieces are lined up inside of the business. It's just a different world that our customers get to operate in inside a Legacy Farmer. But also over that time frame of building that proven process, we've built out our own proprietary software that simplifies the numbers and is this one central place here that all of our customers keep all their finances structured and organized, and helps them streamline those numbers ultimately and helps them simplify these big financial decisions on whether or not to grow and scale the operation. So if you're wanting to learn more about this process that we built out and our software, Farmer Metrics, then I invite you to click the link below. When you click that link, you're going to be invited to join me inside of a free training where I'm going to show you everything that we've built out inside a Legacy Farmer. And ultimately, you can decide on whether or not our system and our process is the right fit for you. Now, growing your farm operation, it's not a pipe dream, my friend. It's ultimately a game plan, but you've got to build it right, or it will bury you, just like I've seen it bury hundreds of family farm operations over the past 10 to 15 years. One of them being my own family farm operation back in 2005. So start with the foundation of your business and don't look back.